There's not a ton of young NBA players more intriguing than Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks. Coming into the NBA, Young was averaging 27 points a game in college and was leading the Oklahoma Sooners pretty much by himself, drawing nationwide attention in the process. ESPN quickly took note of him and especially the way that he was taking every big shot for the Sooners and seemingly had no reservations about shooting from any range. After jumping to the NBA, he didn't slow down much and continued his run being the team's leading offensive player. So in this video, we'll take a look at some of the things you might not have known about Trae Young. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. First, did you know Young put up a legendary stat line in high school? Well, the story of Trae Young begins back in Norman, Oklahoma. While Young was born in Lubbock, Norman is the place where he came into his own as a basketball player and attended high school. His father actually played for Texas Tech, which is located in Lubbock, Texas. So if it wasn't for the move, it's safe to say we might have seen Trae Young playing for Tech instead of Oklahoma. However, it was Norman North High School that Young ended up attending, and he put up quite the numbers of their basketball team after getting in the lineup during his sophomore year. During that first year, he averaged 25 points per game, but that was only the beginning. Young's junior year saw him break out further as a top high school player as he averaged 34 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 4.6 assists per game. He helped the team to the runner-up spot in their state championship game and became the state's Player of the Year, according to multiple outlets. His senior season was when the stats got absurd, though. Young really impressed colleges during his last year with Norman North when he averaged 42.6 points per game, as well as 5.8 rebounds per game, while shooting at just under 49%. He was a 5-star recruit, and ESPN considered him the 15th best player in the country, and it's easy to see why. We all know hindsight is 20/20, and in this case, hindsight tells us that his high school performances and future potential could have justified an even higher ranking. Next is that in some alternate reality, Young could have been another star from Kansas or Kentucky. Trae Young is a hometown kind of guy. Despite having tempting offers from other schools, he decided to play for the hometown Oklahoma Sooners in a decision that worked out pretty well for him and his future NBA draft stock. Playing for Oklahoma wasn't a certain outcome. Young had a lot of offers as a 5-star recruit and showed enough interest in 5 schools to visit them. Other than OU, he visited Kansas, Kentucky, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma State. In the case of Kansas, he was recruited by head coach Bill Self himself, who is definitely one of the most accomplished and recognizable names around the sport. He was also recruited by Kentucky during a year when they scored Hamidou Diallo and Kevin Knox, both of whom are NBA players currently. It makes Oklahoma more of a daring choice for Young because he wasn't walking into a team filled with other top draft prospects. There's an argument to be made that this only helped Young in the long run. Being the main star on the team and not competing with others such as Diallo or Knox let him make the kind of impact that got the attention of NBA scouts. Next is that on the way to the NBA, Young broke some records in college. Young had to carry the Oklahoma Sooners during his one season in college, and he did not disappoint. In fact, he sparked some national debates around whether or not his style of play was the right one. On one hand, some called his play selfish and believed he should pass the ball and involve his teammates more. But on the other hand, it was working, and he was consistently helping the team win as their top offensive player. Young wasn't just good on offense, but prolific. He only played for one season in Oklahoma, but looked like a seasoned veteran and broke some records on the way out. Young scored 848 points during the season, which broke the conference record for most points by a freshman. The record had previously been held by Kevin Durant and Michael Beasley, who were both prolific scorers in college. Beasley would only ever become a role player in the NBA, but obviously Durant is now one of the top players in the league. It looks like Young's college performances were an early sign that he would eventually become a Durant-like scorer in the big leagues. Did you know that Young's stats are similar to Oscar Robertson's? To the surprise of nobody, Young was drafted in the top 5 after his one season with Oklahoma. It was the Atlanta Hawks that took a chance on him, and so far, he's repaid the team with high-level performances and the same kind of scoring that made him notable in college. As a rookie with the Hawks, it didn't take him very long to get into the rhythm of playing in the NBA, where many college players were tripped up in the past by the more physical game and the better athletes. In fact, Young caught up to the NBA game fast enough that in some ways, his first season mirrored that of the great Oscar Robertson. Young and Robertson are the only players in the history of the league to score 1,500 points while also picking up 600 assists. It's an impressive record, but it gets more impressive when you realize that Robertson did it back in 1960 and no one else had done it again until Young came around. LeBron, Jordan, KD, Stephen Curry, and plenty of other stars failed to reach this record, which says something about how hard of an accomplishment it is. It's not the only record that Young shares with Robertson. They're also the only two players in the league who had 7 games with 30 or more points and 10 or more assists as rookies. Maybe Young is on pace to become a 12-time All-Star, which is another accomplishment of Robertson. Next is what Trae Young, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan all have in common. Young has another achievement which is exclusive to some of the greatest names to play the game. During his second season in the league, he recorded multiple games with 40 points and 10 assists. He actually set his career scoring record back then with 42 points in a single night. It's the kind of numbers that Young put up regularly during his senior season in high school, except obviously the competition in the NBA is much tougher. The only other players to have multiple games of 40 points and 10 assists before the age of 22 are LeBron James and Michael Jordan. That's a pretty nice club to be in, and we can probably expect more such performances from Young, considering his 29.6 average points per game during his second season in the league. He had some more notable performances like this before the NBA suspended the season on March 11th. Notably, 48 points in a double overtime win against the Knicks and 50 points against the Miami Heat, with both performances breaking his previous record of 42 points in an NBA game. Unfortunately for Young though, this Hawks team wasn't good enough to earn an invite to the NBA bubble, and so he won't have a chance to one-up the 50-point game until next season. But based on his jump in the first 2 seasons in the NBA, it wouldn't be that surprising if Young quickly brought out even better numbers during year 3. Next is that Young can shoot from deep with the best of them. The NBA has shifted more and more towards offense in recent years, with the former dominance of the Golden State Warriors being proof of that. It's not just become more of a scorers league, but also more of a three-point shooting league. Players that can stretch the floor by hitting from deep are invaluable to their teams, and Young is one of those players. Young had a 35% shooting percentage on three-point shots between 30 and 40 feet. Now, 35% doesn't sound like a lot, but it's kind of like how a baseball player who hits the ball on 3 out of every 10 at-bats is considered a top performer. It is a hard enough shot that opposing defenses will have to take Young seriously, even from range, which will help the rest of the Hawks when it pulls defenders out of position and lets other players get open. Young has been criticized during his college days for taking all the shots, but sometimes taking the shots is actually what helps teammates get a chance to catch the opposing team out of position. Also, being able to hit from very deep is a pretty good advantage to have in late-game clutch situations when everything comes down to a deep three-pointer. Well, that's it for the things you never knew about Trae Young. Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out the channel for other content from us.